What is your deepest regret?
I cheated on my wife and she left me for that.
You cheated on your wife. Why'd you do that?
That's a man's nature.
What? How do you get over the greatest woman in this world? You know the thing that would hurt me the most in this world? If Shanti, you know the band?
Nothing amplifies value more than absence. So if you're not being appreciated in an environment, in a relationship, girl, it's time you leave that situationship. That person, that environment, you need to be missed a bit. So hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Joy. Thank you for tuning in once again. So a lot of men fail to treat a good woman right until of course they lose her. And that's when they begin to see her value. They begin to understand and see what her presence brought into the relationship. But then oftentimes it's usually too late.
Yeah, you know, man, how do you get over the greatest woman in this world? How do you get over the greatest woman in this world? You know the thing that would hurt me the most in this world? If Shanti, you know the band? And he did what I couldn't do. And he did what I couldn't do as a man. Do you have any idea what that do to my soul? Because I was there first. I failed her as a husband. Let me tell you something, y'all. This woman did nothing in this marriage. It's all on me, y'all. It's all on me. I promise you it's on me. And listen, what she did for me. Oh my God. Oh, thank you, baby. I'm so sorry.
Now this man sitting up there laying back on a struggling, deflated air mattress, crying over his ex-wife. Hot diggity dog. Probably got a 13-inch TV VCR combo. Probably don't even have the back to the remote. Probably got to tape in the batteries. God dog, man. And y'all dudes be looking like this and be having the nerve to cheat. Like, and for this man to sit up here crying, talking about how do you get over the greatest woman in the world, you don't. You don't. And a lot of men don't want to admit when they missed out on a good one. When they messed up having a good one, a solid one. That woman, for that man to be crying like that, you could, man, that woman gave you chance after chance after chance to get it right. He probably had to wait for his roommate to leave so he could shoot that video. And y'all be up here with these regurgitated talking points talking about, you know, women file for divorce 70%, 80% of the time. But y'all don't talk about the 70 to 80 chances that some of these women be giving y'all. Y'all don't want to talk about that.
I met a lot of women at the bar and they were more attractive than my wife.
What is your deepest regret?
I cheated on my wife and she left me for that.
You cheated on your wife. Why'd you do that?
That's a man's nature.
What?
I followed my friends hanging out to the bar. I met a lot of women at the bar and they were more attractive than my wife, so it turned me on. I found someone more beautiful, that's why I cheated on my wife. She was the breadwinner. She was the love of my life. That's why I feel so sorry. Never make that mistake again.
If you had one message to your wife right now, what would it be?
Take me back, honey. Please take me back.
Do you have any advice for people who may be going through what you went through?
Don't cheat on your wife. Be faithful to them. I met her.
She's a great woman. Ain't nobody gonna keep letting her go like that. She made a promise to me. She's like, "You never see me again until I'm married and pregnant." And I haven't seen her since.
Did you learn from that?
Yes, that was probably the one. And I'm probably gonna just have to settle from here on out.
I have no sympathy for him and men like him who think they have a bottomless pit full of chances. And then they're going to punish the next woman by settling for her because unbeknownst to her, she's in a competition with a woman that she's never even met.
For the first guy that referred to his ex as the greatest woman ever, I'm sure he never told her that when they were together. She has suddenly become the greatest woman he has ever met now that he has lost her. It's so funny how so many men take women for granted, especially the good women, the conventional good woman that does everything for her man. It's very possible that she was there when he had nothing or possibly even built him up and then he ended up leaving her. You know, it gets to a point, there's only so much that a woman or a person can take before they break. Women that fall for these and get affected the most are women that still has low standards sometimes. A man would take advantage of her And finally, when she gathers the nerves to leave, that's when he begins to miss her and begin to count all the amazing things that she did for them. I 100% stand on that notion that a woman should do nothing for a man, because the more you do for them, the more they resent you, the more they take you for granted, the more they fail to see the value in you. So it's usually when you leave and stop doing anything for them, and you're doing fine out there, maybe with another partner who's treating you right, or you're just by yourself and thriving and doing good with your life. That is usually when they come running back like chickens and begging to have you back. But all the while that you were doing everything and anything for him and trying to be a good wife to him, he was taking you for granted. Now, some of us may watch these clips and think this is a display of love, an act of remorse and all, but I do not buy into that. I actually do not believe. To me, they come running back when they see that no other woman can fill in the space that their exes had left in their life. When it's a case of a woman that was literally everything to a man, she was his cook, his emotional dumpster, his caretaker, emotional support, his builder. She was his shoulder to lean on when he had no one. She was his best friend. She was like literally organizing his life and making his life way easier. That's when I have a problem with it. And I would advise that when a man comes running back, when you're doing way better and now you know your worth, you're living a more accomplished life, and he comes running back to put you back in that place where it took you a whole lot to take yourself out of. Never ever consider going back.
Sometimes it's really hit me that how I messed my marriage up. I was doing the silent treatment, I was guilt tripping, and when I didn't get what I didn't ask for, I resented my ex-wife, among many things that I'm not proud of. But I have also compassion for myself because I didn't know better back then. I didn't know. And what I can do now is just to own it and really feel into and do better, I guess. What
other stuff started happening.
You know, when my wife and I got separated, do you know the reason for our physical separation? I don't know if you've ever heard me say it.
I probably have, but
I literally said, I wanted a divorce, get the F out of my house. And here's the thing. I didn't want a divorce. I didn't. But I knew that I didn't want the marriage the way that it was. And I was hopeful that would change her when I said this, to prompt her to change, to get her to see the error of her ways. And for some reason, it didn't work. When I told her that I wanted a divorce, instead she left me, got on an airplane, and actually filed the divorce. So now here I am sitting in a big house by myself, single for the first time in my life, and realized I had made a mistake. When you went through that the second time, what was your experience like emotionally? I was in a place where death would have been easier than what I was going through. What about you in that situation?
I think so I had thrown the divorce card out the first time around. So I did the same thing. I didn't mean it, but I was mad. I had no control of my emotions. I just said whatever. I went in that other program. I'd kind of gotten that fixed, but then it kind of creeped back later when other stuff started happening.
God forbid that a man would give me an ultimatum and I stay back in that marriage. Like, God forbid. That's the worst case scenario you can ever find yourself in. When a man is trying to have the upper hand in the marriage, because of course, that was what he was trying to do. And if she had given into that, he would have had the upper hand. He was literally playing mind game. Like, let's see who needs this marriage more than the other. Kudos to that woman for living and knowing her worth. Like I said, God forbid that a man would give me an ultimatum in a relationship, in a marriage, and I would stay back. That's the worst type of gaslighting and manipulation that you can think of.
When he says, so I've just lost the love of my life for some meaty groupies.
You know how that is? When you lose your love of your life for dumb, meaty, silly, no meaningful, for lust. It's dark. And by the way, it's official, you can never get her back. She's had it one too many times. And now, what really happens, what they don't tell you is, you live in that regret slightly for the rest of your life. You're not in love with a girl, you're not a stalker, but you do think about it time to time when you kind of look at your your life, especially when it's not going as well, you kind of think to yourself, raw, like, because I do this sometimes, I'm like, raw, like, we could have been married and we could have had real kids right now. Like, that could have been, we could have been on our third kid right now. Like, what a shame. That's when it gets real dark. That's why I can laugh at it, but I can, and I'm glad that girl put that one out there, because it gets at that. If you ever have a good one, you ever have a real one, and you go do your thing, you make the mistake I made. Yeah, I used to go out with a girl in Wickham, right? And you make the mistake I make, yeah, and you step out on her one too many times. I promise you this, my boys, yeah? And I mean a real one, you know? I'm talking about, this girl didn't even bother getting no lick back. She left you where she found you. And that was hard for her to do because you knew how much she loved you. And you lose that. 'Cause I did lose one girl in Wickham like that, yeah? Bro, 10 years on, however long on, there's still times where I think to myself, I wish her well. Like, I know she's happy now and she's doing her thing. And I'm so happy because she deserved that. She deserved that. If anyone deserves it, it's you. You know, say, and I'm glad, alhamdulillah, in my life, we got to link up one time and I got to actually tell her that and say how sorry I am.
I interviewed 10 men who were married at one point, and I asked them all what their biggest regret was or the biggest realization they had after they lost their wife. And these are all a few things that they all had in common. One of the gentlemen who was 43 years old told me that he wishes he would have spent more time with her as opposed to being so focused on his job, his work, and his career. He was so caught up in his own world that he forgot to involve himself in her world. He told me that he thought that she would always be there no matter what because of the things that he was providing for her. He said that he had to find out the hard way that he was wrong. He believed that she would never leave his side, and he took it for granted. Something else that these men told me was that they were afraid of being vulnerable. They thought that being strong was hiding behind their fears and building those walls. They realized that those walls were just getting in the way of the intimacy between them and their significant other. One of the men even told me that he regretted not being honest about how scared he was of certain things and not expressing himself entirely. And that made me realize how we confuse silence with strength. Something else that I found common among these men was a lot of them told me about their lack of appreciation. They told me that they wish they would have told their wives how much they meant to them every day, how much they love them, and how much they matter to them on a daily basis. Pride was another common regret for most of these men as well. An argument that could have been avoided or maybe dealt with, a disagreement that could have been solved, or an apology that could have healed the dynamic between them and their significant other. Unfortunately, it didn't happen because they let their ego and their pride get in the way. So what I learned from their experiences and their regrets was, don't wait to be real and vulnerable with someone. Do not wait to appreciate them. Don't take them for granted because they might walk out and never come back. Swallow your pride when necessary and fix the things that need to be fixed. Because when the person you love is gone, it is too damn late. You should have done all those things that you're now planning to do when you're with them.
It's funny how all these wishes are coming in when the women are already gone. When she was there supporting him, forgiving him, loving him, being a good wife to him, he took her for granted. And now it's all regrets and wishes. To me, I would say most men are undertrained by their mothers. And that's why as a woman, you need to know the difference between being a wife or being in a relationship with a man and mothering a man. Being a wife does not mean that you're going to take up a man's workload, make a man's life easier, mother him, arrange his life. You need to know your place as a woman, because most men see their wives as their second mothers. They expect their wives to fill in the gap that their moms were filling in their lives. Most women did not raise their sons to learn to be independent. Most mothers raised their sons to be incompetent husbands and incompetent men that can barely take care of themselves without the help of a woman. And that is why most of them see their wives as their mothers. That's why they expect that a woman's job in a man's life is to make a man's life easier, is to take up the labor. Leave all this cry and emotional blackmail. Like most of them, that's what they miss. It's because they are incompetent. They are physically incompetent of taking care of themselves. And it dawns on them once the woman leaves.
I told him, I said, you're not going to find better than me, but you might find better for you. He talking about, I don't even know what that means. You don't got to know. Pray on it. But I'm letting you know right now, you're not going to find better than me, but you might find better for you. But it's not going to be better than me.
Truer words have never been spoken. I think sometimes when men leave a relationship, they don't always leave for better. They leave for easier. They leave for the woman who's not going to challenge them to be better, to keep going for their goals, going for their dreams. Sometimes men run from the woman with a strict program just to look for that woman and every other woman they meet thereafter.
Most women think that when a man fumbles a good woman, he instantly realizes what he lost. But psychologically, that's not how it works. First step is he feels a little bit lighter. No expectations, no accountability. But this phase is very short-lived, because then stage 2, he starts dating new women, beta testing new relationships, and slowly over time it starts to sink in. His connection with these women is not the same as his chemistry with you. In comparison is a slow, very brutal burn. And then stage 3, regret sinks in. Not always as an apology text. A lot of times it looks like rereading old messages between you, stalking your socials, asking mutuals about you. Regret usually first arrives as nostalgia. And then stage 4. This is what you've been waiting for. He realizes you weren't the one who got away. You were the woman he will never replace. And he only realizes this when you stop needing him, when your absence really starts to set in. Remember, as a good woman, you never lose a man who walks away. You create space in your life for a man who knows a good thing before he loses it. And as for him, a good woman, she doesn't leave a gap. She sets the bar.
Nothing humbles a man more than realizing the woman he took for granted is still the woman that everybody wants. He thought that by walking away, all of a sudden, it would make you undesirable. If anything, it just made you unattainable to him. Because so often, access breeds entitlement. He thought that he was entitled to a woman like you because you never left his side, because you were that ride or die, when actually it was a privilege for him to even have access to you until that access is taken away. But even then, that's not what kills him. That's not what brings him to his knees. What actually cuts like a knife, Bryan Adams, is watching another man give you the very thing he said he couldn't. Perfect example of this is Justin Bieber. Justin didn't crash out when Selena was quite literally fighting for her life. He started to crash out when the weapons formed against her were unable to prosper, when she was able to rise without him. It's not that you moved on, it's the fact that somebody else saw you as worthwhile and stepped up, and that you were able to build a life that was even better than the one that he had with you. That's what actually breaks him, because now he gets to watch another man honor the same woman he overlooked and disrespected. So when a man says to you, I don't think I can give you what you need, what he's also telling you is, I'm not willing to grow. I'm not willing to become the man that can keep a woman like you. But when you finally stop arguing, when you stop trying to convince him of your worth, and you leave that avoidant man alone for the last time, the moment you stop crying, that's the moment he starts.
She's so right, because it's usually when you're doing way better than they expected you to do. That's when they begin to miss you. That's when the phone begins to ring. That's when their text messages begin to pop up. Like, that's what draws them in. What they feel like they've lost, something that they cannot have. Because we know men are also male-centered. When they see another man that they respect has stepped up and, wants to do better with you, that's when they begin to see your value. When you've left them and you've moved on and you're doing better than them, that's when they come running back. Like, men love to have access to women, and when they feel like they've lost that access, especially to another man who they deem better than themselves, that's when their egos begin to bleed and they try to reach out, they try to get you back. They don't like women doing better. They expect that you're missing them and wishing and begging for them to take you back. But when you leave them and they know that they've lost access to you and you're doing way better than they left you, like, that's usually when they come crawling back and begging. So, like, don't take them back when they come back. Don't ever make the mistake of taking a man back that did not treat you right when you had the chance. Because I tell you, the second time, they mostly come back for the wrong reason. So, me, it's not wise to go back to your exes. It's not wise. Like, it always bites you in the ass if you go back to your ex. Because, like, most of the time you've outgrown them. You've moved on, you've evolved. When you come back to them, it's like regressing back to your vomit, something that you moved past. They had their chance and they messed it up, so go have fun. Like, life continues. Most of the time, it never works out. Like, it never ends well when people go back to their exes. Because most of these exes be wanting you for the wrong reasons. You may think he's being genuine, he's remorseful, but you can never know. You can never know, especially for a man that treated you wrong in the past. So it's very hard for a grown-up man to change. So you cannot trust them to change. On that note, we've come to the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and share your comments below in the comment section. And of course, share to anyone you think might be interested in watching this video. And I remain your girl Joy. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you in my next video. And for me, it's bye.